Mic check here, 1 2 1 2. Episode 11. No gruffs given. I'd like to start with a quote. The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose, and it will defend itself. That's from St. Augustine. Let me just read it once more. The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose, and it will defend itself. Episode 11, No Gruffs Given, brought to us by our friends at spreads.ca. I placed a couple of bets this week. Now, they're virtual bets, mind you, because to bet on spreads.ca, you have to be in actually Canada. You have to be in Canada on the soil. I don't advise using a VPN, anything like that. These are for my friends up in Canada, spreads.ca. What I really like, I like the goal margin bets, okay? So I believe for game, what was it, game three? Game three, game three, I said, you know what? I'm looking at these odds. I think taking winner by 2 is a great bet. Either or, it basically paid you $6.75 or $7.75, depending on whether you took the Rangers or the Lightning. The game ended up being a 4-2 game, okay? Because especially when you're playing two great goaltenders, chances are the game's not going to get out of hand, okay? And I'm banking on it as we get longer into the playoffs. Coaches are going to be a little bit more gun-shy about pulling their goalie super early. So if you go in to the last 5 minutes with a 1-goal lead, you're going to pull the goalie. Let's say you score an empty netter, all right? And there's our up by 2. It's a strong bet based on the odds, okay? Because the odds are extremely high. I mean, you get into the $6, $7 odds, that's a much better betting percentage as far as how much you're going to win than just taking the money line or the winner, which is usually pays out, 190, 220, in and around that range. So I like that bet. If you're in Canada, you got to go to spreads.ca, place that bet. Usually I post a pick before each game. Just depends how I feel, and really it also depends on what happened the game before. Because when you're taking that type of bet, it's always got to bank on, like Vasilevsky, as an example. When he loses a game, generally comes back and wins a game. Now, that was broken with his Game 2 loss, but, are you really going to bet against him to lose 3 in a row? That's a tough bet. So that's what I like. Couple of things. We got a packed show. Oh, by the way, let's start with our Venmo shoutouts, okay? You have the ability to go to Venmo, and let me just make sure I know what the Venmo is, but we're going to start by Jerry Coleman. So my buddy Jerry says, Sean, can you please call out your biggest fan, Troy Bowen? And I need you to give him shit for missing my summer solstice music festival to go see some lame flume show. Weak. Thanks a lot. Big fan, big listener, Jerry Coolman. So that was the first one, all right? Then my buddy Jack Wraith, Jack says, Sean, Father's Day. John from Winnetka, that's our town, worth fighting for. He heard this from former Illinois senator at a Memorial Day parade. If you could mention that. Well, yeah, absolutely, I will. And tell him to take a day off every once in a while. I agree, okay? Jack, this is for, John, it's for you. From your son, your loving son, Jack. Take a day off every once in a while, and happy Father's Day. Episode 11, No Gruffs Given. Let me just make sure that you know what that Venmo is. I'll tell you that right now. Sean Avery Promotions. Let me find out. What is it? At No Gruffs Given. Capital N-O, capital G-R-U-F-F-S, capital G-I-V-E-N. At No Gruffs Given. That's the Venmo. I'll tell you the other thing. A lot of you content vampires out there, you're just sucking in this content for free. Don't be shy to just make a donation and get a shout out on the show, okay? Not for any particular reason other than you not being a content vampire. If you want to give us $5, if you want to give us $10, $6, $50, depending on how much you listen to, you can look at yourself in the mirror and go, what has it been worth to me to date? And that would be a nice gesture to keep it going, because I got to tell you, the fight for advertisers, it's a difficult fight. We're going to get into this in episode 11, because the woke mob is still out there, all right? And they are afraid to make decisions. Now, I see light at the end of the tunnel. I see clarity. We're coming upon it. There's no question. But we're still in the trenches right now, all right? We're still on the war field. We haven't won. We see the horizon. We're approaching it, but there's still a fight happening. And honestly, I don't like dealing with it. I don't want to sell my soul to shill products where I'm just getting reprimanded on the back end about things that I said in the show and they're not comfortable, yada, yada, yada. So do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Look yourself in the mirror and go, am I a content vampire? How do I address that? Well, I give $1, a single measly dollar. If that's what you think each show is worth to you, whatever it is, it's more the principle. Episode 11, no gruffs given. I stumbled upon something because I auditioned for a movie that's coming up that Ben Affleck is directing. It's the Nike. It's the story about how they signed Michael Jordan to Nike. Ben Affleck's directing. He's playing Phil Knight, and Matt Damon is playing Sonny Vaccaro. And I auditioned for it for 2 roles. All right, one of the roles they've cast, and I still think I'm in the mix for the other role. Matter of fact, I know I'm in the mix. Okay, because it was a great audition. Anyways, in sort of my research, I stumbled upon something. In the early days of Nike, they had a list of sort of 10 things that they lived by, and I want to read them to you. Number 1, our business is change. Number 2, we're on offense all the time. Number 3, perfect results count, not a perfect process. Break the rules, fight the law. Number 4, this is as much about battle as about business. Number 5, assume nothing. Make sure people keep their promises. Push yourselves, push others, stretch the possible. Number 6, live off the land. Number 7, your job isn't done until the job is done. Number 8, dangers, bureaucracy, personal ambition, energy takers versus energy givers. Knowing our weakness, don't get too many things on the platter. Number 9, it won't be pretty. And number 10, if we do the right things, we'll make money damn near automatic. I mean, really, really interesting. It's sort of beautiful. I mean, I'm sure the mantra has been split in half since the early days, but the early days of everything is always the best. It's always the best, all right? Until the bureaucracy and the woke and everything infiltrates. It's its purest form in the early days. So those are 10 rules to live by, Nike lived by in the early days. And there's actually much more than 10 on there. Do yourself a favor. If I had show notes, I would put them in the show notes, but I don't, okay? I'm not sure the exact date that it's coming out, but E60. I guess it's a somewhat of an offshoot from ESPN 30 for 30s. E60. They have a Detroit versus Colorado 2-hour episode that's airing sometime in June, I believe. It's coming up. The trailer is out. It's 2.5 minutes long. Do yourself a favor and watch it. It's incredible. What it also puts into perspective, how many superstars there were on those two teams, right? Like we see superstars nowadays where teams have a couple of superstars, Well, you go through that list of that Colorado team: Sakic, Waugh, Foote, Mike Ricci, Forsberg, Blake. I mean, you can Patrick Waugh. Then you go into Detroit, Shanahan, Yzerman, Konstantinov, Fedorov, Draper. You can just go through the list. I was very surprised, Brendan Shanahan, and it's also interesting to see these guys interviewed recently. Like I'm sure it was in the last year. Just see what these guys look like now today. 1997. Christ, we're almost, that's definitely 15 years. Is it longer than that? It's probably 20 years. I don't even know what the math is right now. 2022. It's 20, that's 23, 4, 5 years. These guys, they all look pretty good. They got miles on them, but they were warriors. I'm very excited for it. Do yourself a favor, go out there and see it. We're going to get into some hockey stuff. We got some other things to get through first, okay? But before we do that, there's something that's happening today as we speak. It's being played out at the Toronto Pearson International Airport in Toronto, Canada. Ryan Whitney of Spitting Chicklets is stuck at the airport. So he went to Edmonton to shave Bissonnette's head on TV, on TNT. And I also wonder if one of the reasons why TNT picked to take the Edmonton games in this round, Western Conference Finals, had to do with the fact that Whitney was going to shave Bissonnette's head because it was a bet based around the Oilers making the playoffs. Just some food for thought. I mean, if that's the case, I don't ever want to have to rely on a ratings bump when I have the likes of Wayne Gretzky on my panel to a bet that somebody made around shaving somebody else's head. I think it's a little bit, I don't know. Listen, I doubt that I'll ever be running a network and I'll ever have to make that sort of decision, but you would hope that they wouldn't have to rely on that. Anyways, Whit was there. He's trying to get back to Boston. He goes Edmonton, Toronto, and then Toronto, Boston. Well, he gets to Toronto, and he's been detailing it on social media. It's pandemonium. It's chaos in the airports, all right? Certainly in Canada, we know this, and in Toronto in particular. The lines, the canceled flights because of the COVID mandates that they still have there. Toronto is the Toronto airport is a war zone, okay? And I've seen it, and I've heard it, and now Whit is bringing attention to it. I just wish, there's a lot of people in sports nowadays that have these huge platforms. And some of these people, well, they bought into the woke narrative early on. And it would be really nice and quite refreshing if some of these individuals use their platforms now to spread the gospel of truth, to spread the gospel of current day happenings, like what we're living in and with, okay? Because it's much different than what you're being told by the mainstream media. We know this. I mean, that's a fact, okay? That's a fight that I'm dealing with on a daily basis, whether it's, advertisers for the show or trying to balance the line of what I say, how much I sell myself out or how much I don't sell out versus being able to eventually have a career on film, television. All right. It's a slippery slope. It's dangerous. So do yourself a favor, go and check that out and read a little bit about what's going on at the Toronto airport and why it's complete chaos. That being said, speaking of the woke, I haven't talked about the Johnny Depp situation very much, okay? Dropbox Dave, he's been posting quite a bit of Johnny Depp. I guess they're memes. They're sort of these supercuts that people put together. They're quite outrageous. He gets a real kick out of it. At some point, I hope everybody meets Dropbox Dave. He's the man behind the machine. Johnny Depp, he released a statement. He won. Okay, he beat Amber Heard in the defamation trial. He lost one count, but it was for something that his lawyer said, not him. So he won. Well, he released a statement, and I want to read it because I think it's important. 6 years ago, my life, the life of my children, the lives of those closest to me, and also the lives of the people who for many, many years have supported and believed in me were forever changed, all in the blink of an eye. False, very serious and criminal allegations were levied at me via the media, which triggered an endless barrage of hateful content, although no charges were ever brought against me. It had already traveled around the world twice within a nanosecond, and it had a seismic impact on my life and my career. And 6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled. My decision to pursue this cause, knowing very well the height of the legal hurdles that I would be facing and the inevitable worldwide spectacle into my life, was only made after considerable thought. From the very beginning, the goal of bringing the case was to reveal the truth, regardless of the outcome. Speaking the truth was something that I owed to my children and to all those who have remained steadfast in their support of me. I feel at peace knowing I have finally accomplished that. I am and have been overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and the colossal support and kindness from around the world. I hope that my quest to have the truth be told will have helped others, men or women, who have found themselves in my situation, and that those supporting them never give up. I also hope that the position will now return to innocent until proven guilty, both within the courts and in the media. I wish to acknowledge the noble work of the judge, the jurors, the court staff, and the sheriffs who have sacrificed their own time to get this to this point, and to my diligent and unwavering legal team, who did an extraordinary job in helping me to share the truth. The best is yet to come, and a new chapter has finally begun. Veritas numquam perit. Truth never perishes. Haha. Yours truly, Johnny Depp. Truth never perishes. The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose and it will defend itself. Truth never perishes. I feel like I should just end the show right now. But I won't, because it brings me to something that also is very important. Now, some of you, let me just cut to the chase, okay? I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, all right? Apparently, I was involved in an incident in New York City, on the streets of New York. Apparently, I damaged an individual's car in New York City, okay, while I was on my scooter. Now, this has been going on for 3 years. Now, let me just tell you something. First of all, how I was alerted to this was by the New York Ranger security. So every NHL team has some security personnel that are assigned to the team. They're generally ex-cops, in this case, an ex-NYPD officer. I won't say his name. He sent me a picture. And this picture contained a wanted poster. And the picture in the wanted poster was a picture of me. And I was sort of, I guess I was sheepishly grinning at a camera, okay? Now, I had no idea whose camera I was sheepishly grinning at, okay? I had no idea what was happening, but it was a wanted poster. The NYPD had drawn up a wanted poster. And there was a number to call if you had any information on this so-called criminal, okay? So once I received the wanted poster, I called the individual, the detective by the name of Detective Bernagazzi. And I said to the detective, I just received a wanted poster. I assume that you're looking for me. Now, at the time, I was here in California, shooting a movie called Spree that my buddy Matt Budman produced, and Joe Query from Stranger Things, I believe that's how you say his name. I might have just screwed it up. Anyways, I was in California, and I said to Detective Bernagazzi, do I need to fly home? I mean, there's a wanted poster. Am I a wanted man? I don't even know what this is regarding, but apparently I'm on a poster. She said, oh, no, don't worry about it. When you get back into town, give me a call. All right. So I get back into town. I called Detective Bernagazzi. I said, hey, I'm back in town. She said, do me a favor. Do you mind coming down to the precinct? I said, yeah, sure. No problem. No problem. Happy to help. Okay. I support the police, certainly support the NYPD. Okay. Although the police continually make it difficult for me to support them just by things that they don't do or do too much of. You know the story, all right? So I go down to the precinct, and what ends up happening is I get arrested by Detective Bernagazzi. Now, Bernagazzi didn't put me in handcuffs, but she arrested me. She took my fingerprints. She took mug shots, the whole thing. Okay, this is like I thought I was going down there for some questions about an incident that apparently happened. Long story short is that for 3 years now, this has been going on. Okay, I've had to fly to New York a couple of times, 20, 30 different court dates, okay? Most of them done virtually because of the pandemic. And then, God knows, judges come in and go and they're not ready. The defense isn't ready. The prosecutors aren't ready. Who knows, okay? By the way, early on in this process, I believe the first court date, the DA offered me a fine of $1,100 and an ACD, which is essentially a dismissal. If you don't get arrested in 6 months, you get a dismissal. It's not a charge. And, knowing today what I know now, I was an idiot for saying no. But the reason I said no is because I guess I have this principle inside me that says, when I didn't do anything wrong, I'm not going to, just for the sake of convenience, I'm not going to admit to something, pay money to someone to avoid an inconvenience, right? I have principle. I have values, okay? I don't just roll over to the institution. Now, what we come to find out is the individual that's claiming that I hit his car. Well, it was him and his wife in the car, and they're two very interesting people, okay? The guy's name's Jonathan Schulhoff, all right? And his wife, Kimberly Kravis. Her father, which I can't believe this is happening because her dad, Henry Kravis, who is a multi-millionaire. I mean, I don't know if the guy's a billionaire, but He essentially is a big shot at KKR, which is a hedge fund type company. Major player. He donated, I believe, $1 million to Donald Trump's campaign. He's a certified Republican. I would probably get along quite well with Henry Kravis. Well, his daughter-in-law was in the car, okay? No, his daughter, sorry. His daughter was in the car, and his son was in the driver's seat, this Jonathan Schulhoff. His dad, let me just look it up, a guy by the name of Michael Schulhoff, he was the former CEO of Sony America. So these two, this husband and wife come from major money families, all right? I'm not going to get into the details of the situation because, quite frankly, I don't even really remember the details of the situation. But he claims that I damaged his car to the tune of $1,200. These two, all right, are getting ready to go to court against me. They're going to go into the court, from what I'm told, on June 15th. And part of the reason why I'm telling you this story is it's one thing to fight back, and it's one thing to, accept consequences. Well, in this situation, I don't really have a choice, right? I have people who I think knew what they were doing all along. Like, I think that the wanted poster was probably drawn up, even though they knew that it was me in the picture, because I can guarantee you some of the cops at that precinct knew it was me. There's a lot of shenanigans, all right? This was like a show, okay? This Schulhoff and Kravis, okay, come from wildly wealthy families, all right? They both took $15 fees, witness fees. So the city of New York or the courts of New York, I'm not sure who, paid them $15 to come in and give their witness statements. What I also find interesting after this apparent attack, they were so traumatized that they went to lunch afterwards before they went to the police station and filed their report. I know the prosecution has this big case that they're planning on rolling out. By the way, this is for a 4th-degree misdemeanor. So the New York City courts are going to assemble. They also are not allowing me to have a jury, okay? They actually lowered the charge from, I don't know if it was 2nd-degree misdemeanor to a 4th-degree misdemeanor so that they could conveniently avoid a jury trial. Because I said to myself, you know what? I think I got a pretty good chance of going in there and telling the truth. And the good people of New York City will understand this is a bunch of rich elites, okay, that are wasting taxpayer dollars to try and prosecute somebody, being me, okay, for a crime that I didn't commit that is questionably whether it's even a crime or not, okay, based on the possible rules of the road, depending on what happened, a lot of things, all right? And I thought to myself, you know what? I think the jury's going to look over and look at this husband and wife who are extremely privileged and have a problem with them taking $15 fees for placing their witness statements. I mean, this story is so off the wall wild. I can't believe that it's happening, but it is. And maybe it's a way to put a period at the end of me trying to fight the good fight, right? Versus just saying, to a certain extent, I got to put my hands up and like, I'm not worried about what other people are doing or other people's safety or patrolling the bike lanes or whatever. And by the way, I can guarantee you that the prosecution, they're going to try and roll out all my Instagram videos of patrolling the bike lane, and they're going to try all these tricks. What they don't understand is I got a couple of tricks up my sleeve, okay? Tricks being abilities to defend the nonsense that they're going to try and waste the court's time with. And I also think that I'm probably screwed going into it, depending on what judge it is. Like, who knows, okay? Crazy liberal Democratic New York judges. I don't know if I'm going to get a fair shake. I have no idea. What I can control, though, I can control whether or not we pack that courtroom. June 15th, Center Street, okay? What I'm asking now is Ranger Nation. Now, I know that we've had a little bit of a trying week and a half because I've been a big Tampa Bay fan for a long time, but ultimately I bleed blue. And I'll tell you what, I'm starting to really come around to this Rangers team. And if in fact they do beat Tampa Bay, I'm all in, all right? I'll be in New York. I'll be in the stands. I'll be fucking fighting nail and tooth with you guys to bring that Stanley Cup back to New York City. But in the meantime, I need your help. I need you, and I'm asking you, to take a day off work and come down to New York City on June 15th and pack that courtroom because you're allowed to come into the courtroom. You saw the Johnny Depp trial. People were waiting in line all night, all right? I want us to pack that courtroom. I want Ranger fans. If you want to wear your jerseys, if you want to come and represent and help one of your own, if you're a patriot, I say to you, thank you. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to hook every single last one of you up with some sort of thankful gesture in the form of God knows what. Could be tickets to a New York Ranger playoff game. It could be, I don't know what, but every single one of you that shows up, you're going to get something from me in the form of a thank you. Because that's what we do. If we're patriots, we have each other's backs. And this is a full-blown circus. It is a full-blown circus. And I can't believe, I wish I could have a conversation with Henry Kravis, the father to Kimberly Kravis, who was in the car, okay? They also had one of their friends, a mutual friend of mine, Eric Eisner, the son of the former CEO of Walt Disney, call me and try and broker a payment. Like, this story is insane, okay? To levels that I guess we're going to expose to a certain extent, but we're going to go down if we go down with a fight. And who knows? I don't even know, based on what you can't go to jail, but who knows? They might throw me in jail. I have no idea. If they like, I have no idea. I'm surrendering to the gods of good karma. Hopefully my karma is outweighs, the good karma outweighs the bad karma. And I hope that it does. So June 15th, send me a message. If you want to come down and support, send me a message on Instagram. Bring your friends. If you're a patriot, we're going to stand up to this, okay? This wasteful sham charade of a trial, whatever it is, okay? And in my opinion, I'm not sure. I don't even know who's going to show up. But I think that all the players have to show up. Schulhoff, Kravis, Bernagazzi, the whole gang. So I just want to put it to bed. I'm on the record stating what I need to state now, and we'll move on. Episode 11, No Gruffs Given, brought to you by Spreads.ca. President Biden, he went to Delaware for the weekend, okay? And before he left for Delaware, he had a speech, sort of a state the nation, whatever they call those speeches. He got up prime time and he said he had some remarks, all right? One of those things that he said was, gun manufacturers are the only industry in this country that have immunity. And that's a red flag, okay? Because that's actually not true. That is a complete bold face. It's his lie of the week. If I had a special button, I would hit a little jingle. Lie of the week. That's what it would be. It's not true because the pharmaceutical industry also has immunity. That's why we're dealing with this fight that we're dealing with right now. I just wish whoever writes these things for him would think about the backlash and also just write down the truth. Don't try and pander and lie to us because the elites think that we are stupid. They do. They think that we're stupid and we'll just buy anything that we're told. By the way, Michael's not here today. He had the flu. He had the flu. He didn't have COVID, but he had the flu because the flu is back. So I said, Michael, you know what? He told me he was feeling better today. I said, you know what? You should take the show off. We're going to be in an enclosed room. Let's just be safe. I don't want to get Nash sick, right? So the gun manufacturers are not the only ones, all right? Pharmaceutical companies this past year spent $5.2 billion on advertising. You think about that number, $5.2 billion. You know, in most countries, it's actually illegal for pharmaceutical companies to advertise. But in America, it's not. It is totally legal. And in my opinion, that's why pharmaceutical companies own mainstream media, right? Because they spent $5.2 billion in advertising money. You do the math. Pfizer's revenue for this coming year, 2022, is going to be inwards of around $32 billion, okay? That's a big number, $32 billion, and they're not done. I found something interesting that CVS and Walgreens started advertising the vaccine before clinical trials even started. And you know that I hate talking about the vaccine stuff, and I thought that we left that behind, but it's percolating. It's bubbling, okay? They're trying to get the authorization to vaccinate babies from birth to 5 years old, all right? And there's a woman by the name of Dr. Naomi Wolf, okay? So Dr. Wolf in the past has been sort of a hardcore liberal. All right, when traditional political people sort of talk about the relationship between Dr. Wolf and the Liberal Party today, the Democratic Party today, they're miffed. Okay, they go, she was as hard-leaning Democrat as you could find. She's done a complete flip, and she just released her new book called The Bodies of Others. Interestingly enough, Amazon only allows you to buy 4 copies of the book. So you can buy the book on Amazon, but you can only buy up to 4 copies. I don't know why. I mean, I think that means that they're trying to stop people from buying a lot of copies of her book. And why is that? Well, Dr. Naomi Wolf has really taken to the crusade of analyzing the Pfizer documents, okay? The ones that they tried to hold off releasing for 75 years. She's got a team of hundreds of people, combing through these documents, and they're finding out what's in it because mainstream media won't do it. And the one thing that she's really reporting on recently, and the thing that she's focusing on quite a bit, is the trials and what Pfizer knew and what's happening now to mothers who were vaccinated that are breastfeeding, or even mothers who aren't breastfeeding but were vaccinated and now have a baby, okay? And they're seeing dangerous levels of a lot of things, okay? Let me get into this, okay? Reports of babies, okay? One of the reports is that Pfizer knew a baby died with an inflamed liver, okay, during the trial process. That's concerning because how would the baby have an inflamed liver and what was that from? Well, they go into that a little bit. They also say that there's a lot of babies today that have been born to vaccinated mothers who are breastfeeding that are having GI distress, sleeplessness, okay? They're having failure to thrive, which essentially means that they're not growing properly. And there's a certain thing, and I'll tell you what that thing is. It's polyethylene glycol is being found in breast milk. Now, some people are going to go, well, you find all sorts of traces of certain things in breast milk. Well, that might be true. But up until the vaccines were introduced, what they're telling me, what I'm reading, is that this polyethylene glycol was not one of the things that in the past has been found in breast milk, okay? Something is happening with babies from vaccinated moms. I think it's almost, you can't argue with that because we're reading the Pfizer documents. And by the way, this is all coming from the Pfizer documents. If you follow Dr. Naomi Wolf, she's constantly on a week-to-week basis giving updates because as these tranches of documents are coming in, her team, they're combing through it and they're finding new information as they go. One of the things that they're talking about is this baby die-off, okay? Now, the Pfizer trials, which is what they ran before the vaccine was authorized. They're going through all these documents. There were 270 women in the Pfizer trials. Now, for some reason, 230 of those women's records, documents, just disappeared. There's no trace of 230 pregnant women that were in the trial. So there ended up being 270 pregnant women in that Pfizer trial. 230 of them have gone missing. Now, I'm not saying that those women don't exist anymore. I'm saying their records, poof, vanished into thin air. All right? And I apologize. It's confusing. There's a lot of information. Now, 36 of those women did have their babies during the trials, and they lost their babies. So 36 women lost babies during the trials, okay? Of the, I believe, 270, okay? That's an alarming number, all right? And again, I'll sit here today saying If you want to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. I think you should do whatever you think is best for you. The only reason that we're talking about these things is because these are mandates, all right? The Toronto Police Department I believe they are June 21st, they're finally lifting the COVID vaccine mandates. Yeah. So all those police officers, police women, police men who didn't get vaccinated, they can now come back to work. They've been unemployed for months. I don't know if it's more than a year now, but, and I don't know how they went and I don't know what they did to pay the bills from then until now. But as of June 21st, they're allowed to come back to work. Back to Dr. Naomi Wolf, okay? They're talking about these Pfizer documents, and they say that they're categorizing it as baby die-offs. They're saying babies are dying, all right? They said in Scotland, more than twice the amount of babies over the last year have died previous to the average. So they have average. You have average annual deaths, right, based on the population. Twice the amount of babies have died in Scotland. Ontario, Canada, 86 babies have passed away to date. The national average, the average in the past has always been has been in and around 5 or 6 babies per year. All right. So you go from 5 or 6 to 86. That's an enormous jump. And my speculatory earrings, bells, whatever the hell you want to call it, start ringing in my brain. All right. Cause for concern. Israel. Death to vaccinated mothers is up 34%. Now, I don't know how they come up with that because what are they basing that off of? The previous year or mothers who have been vaccinated for anything? That one, there's sometimes you got to go, whoa, is that just for a headline or what? It's cause for concern, okay? I just want to tell you, we have to start thinking about these things. I got a bunch of headlines that I want to get through. And what I've done is I've just screen grabbed. I'll get to this Kevin Weeks one. But the Tampa Bay Rays. Interesting week for the Tampa Bay Rays. So first of all, Governor DeSantis, what he said was he was going to withhold money. All right, let me get to this. Yeah. Governor Ron DeSantis reportedly plans to veto a bill earmarking $35 million for a Tampa Bay Rays baseball facility, days after the team went on an anti-gun tirade on social media alongside the New York Yankees. The decision, first reported by Outkick, would have the governor nixing $35 million legislation for a Pasco County facility that's earmarked for the Tampa Bay Rays spring training. Okay? So they went on an anti-Second Amendment, virtue signaling gun tirade, all right, as far as Governor DeSantis liked, okay? So he said, you know what? I'm going to veto that $35 million, okay? Well, then what happened was the Tampa Bay Rays, and I thought this was very interesting because, as you may or may not know, same-sex marriage in New York State, I believe during the same-sex marriage push, I did a famous PSA where I'm almost positive I was the first professional athlete in any of the 4 majors, NHL, NFL, NBA, MLB, to endorse same-sex marriage, okay? Well, this past week, a number of the Tampa Bay Rays players decided not to wear their rainbow-colored logo on their uniform as part of the team's annual Pride Night, all right? The Rays manager, Kevin Cash, addressed it, saying he doesn't think it'll negatively impact the clubhouse because discussions among players over the past few weeks were constructive. First and foremost, I think the organization has done a really good thing to have Pride Nights supporting our gay community to come out and have a nice night at the ballpark. Some of the players didn't wear the patch because they don't agree with it religiously. And by the way, again, just like the vaccine mandates, everyone has the right to their own choice, okay? If you're an American citizen and you don't support same-sex marriage, that's your right. You know what I mean? it's just like it's my right to support it. I didn't know anyone gay growing up. Okay. I have a lot of gay friends now, but when I came out for same-sex marriage, that was a long time ago. And that wasn't during the time when, being gay was part of I don't even know what you would call it now. LGBTQ plus, like the gay movement, I believe, the waters have been muddied a little bit with the trans community, and there's just a lot of shit going on. It's a crazy time to be alive. All right. So again, I say to each his own, but it's happening in the news, and I feel like it was important to point that out. Couple of other things. The Biden administration, again, coming back to them, they just announced that K through 12 schools federally must allow boys into girls' bathrooms and locker rooms in order to receive federal funds for lunches, breakfasts, and snacks for students living in poverty. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, I don't know what that means. All right, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. As a parent, I would be uncomfortable knowing that one of my kids who is in possibly kindergarten goes to a school where a boy who identifies as a girl is allowed to go to the girl's bathroom, all right? Assuming that I have a daughter. That would concern me, all right? What concerns me more is that the Biden administration is now holding back federal funds against schools that don't allow it. That seems like there's an agenda, okay? And we know that there's an agenda. It's just what agenda is that? This past weekend in Philadelphia, not Memorial Day weekend, but this past weekend, 3 killed, 12 injured Saturday in a shootout in Philadelphia, okay? I don't know. What do you say about that? Oh, coming back to Florida again. And this is a win I just found out 5 minutes ago. The Florida Health Department told the Special Olympics they would be fined $27.5 million for violating state law 5,500 times by requiring proof of vaccination to attend or to participate in the Special Olympics. So the state of Florida said to the Special Olympics, if you require your Olympians to be vaccinated, we're going to fine you for every one of them. And it's going to be $27.5 million. The Special Olympics today, I just read, they dropped it. They're not going forward with it. So there's little wins coming all over. Again, not because we're against vaccinations, but we're against mandatory vaccinations. God, I'm dry. Hasn't rained in California in a long time, and I'm dry. Another achievement for the Biden administration I'd just like to point out. The average Border Patrol apprehension per day in May is up to 7,500 compared to 4,700 in January. So we went from 4,500 to 7,500. An estimated 628,000 apprehensions were made in May in just Texas and California border cities alone. That's the highest in a month. That's the highest in a month in 23 years, okay? That's a big number. That's a milestone. What else do we want to... Oh, Peter Navarro got arrested. Basically, Peter Navarro, he got arrested because he refused to testify at the partisan January 6th committee, okay? They arrested him at the airport. They put him in shackles. They handcuffed his ankles together. I mean, listen, it's a dangerous time. And what's going on in Canada is an indication of how bad it is. And you got to be careful out there. $10 gas in Mendocino, California. That's expensive. Yeah. Oh, let me tell you one other Vice news. Vice News. I mean, I used to think Vice was cool, right? Vice News' breaking headline last week. After a jury heard a string of texts from Johnny Depp saying he wanted to burn Amber Heard and that he would fuck her burnt corpse to make sure she is dead, they decided Heard defamed Depp and acted with malice. I mean, talk about the most insane slanted headline you could ever imagine. Not to be outdone, though, by the Daily Mail, who arguably has the greatest headlines. Well, the laptop from hell, it's still from hell, exclusive. Hunter Biden's search history reveals his obsession with porn and sex fantasies, including 18 years old, lonely widow, and MILF crack cocaine porn. He uploaded his own amateur videos and texted Pornhub link to a phone number listed in his contacts as dad. Now, who are we to say that Hunter Biden had his dad in his phone book as dad, okay? We don't know that. Nobody could prove that. He could have had some weird thing where he called his best friend Jimmy dad in his phone book. But he texted Pornhub links to dad in his phone book, all right? Hunter Biden's internet search history from March 2019 reveals his obsession with porn and his penchant for filming himself having sex with prostitutes. The president's son, who dated his late brother's wife, Hallie, repeatedly searched Pornhub for titles involving lonely widows, as well as videos with 18 and 19-year-old girls. Of the 281 websites found in his search history over 6 days, 98 were pornographic. Hunter, who had a paid Pornhub premium account under RH East, also uploaded his own amateur videos, but was careful not to show his face. He was also a regular user of sex cam sites, particularly glasscams.com, where he made screen recordings of himself interacting live with the women on the site. Text messages also show Hunter sent a Pornhub link to dad. Hunter he's one of my favorites. You know, I got to tell you, he's one of my favorites. And the laptop from hell, I don't know if it's ever going to go away. I could talk about this all day, but I'm getting bored. Episode 11, No Gruffs Given, brought to you and us by our friends at spreads.ca. Remember the Venmo shoutouts, all right? Venmo donations, no gruffs given. Let's get into some hockey. Dave, what are we on time? All right. Live Golf. This is the new Saudi Arabian-backed golf league, okay? They're essentially trying to take over the PGA. Apparently, they paid Dustin Johnson, the husband to Paulina Gretzky, son-in-law to Wayne Gretzky, $150 million to defect from the PGA Tour to the Live Golf Tour. They just signed Phil Mickelson, okay? I mean, you know, money buys happiness. I don't care who you are. I don't care who said that that's not true. They're wrong, all right? So if they say to DJ, hey, we're going to give you $150 million, you come over, you play exclusively for us for the next 4 years, how is he going to say no to that? I mean, who in their right mind would say no to that? $150 million up front, you're going to get a wire for $150 minus your agent fees? That is an astronomical number. NHL playoffs, all right? First of all, Kevin Weeks. Let me just read this because I played with Weeksy, so I feel like I can comment on this. He posted something on Instagram. He said, no more complaining on my feed in the comment section about TV networks, broadcasters, referees, and or league hosing your team. Enough in capital letters. Players play, coaches coach. Support your club and favorite players in a proper way with class. No more misplaced anger via inaccurately discrediting people. I'm one of the most connected person in the hockey world. Not one player, coach, staff, manager, owner, or agent say what some of you are saying. So there is the answer. So there is the answer. I always have love and respect for the great hockey and sports fans around the world. Let's maintain a standard that best reflects this incredible sport. So I guess Weeksy, he's the ultimate shill, right? Because there's no bigger company man, network guy than Weeksy. So he's putting his foot down to anyone that's pissed off with the product that they're getting, all right? He's the arbiter. He's the guy with the hood that cuts your head off. He's put his stake in the ground. Mind your business, all right? You meager civilians. You're not allowed to have an opinion. This isn't America. You're not allowed to have an opinion, okay? Because I am the elite. I played the game. I talk about the game on television. What I say goes. So stop crowding my feed. Stop buzzing my tower with your opinions, because this isn't America, all right? Or Canada. Game 3 versus Tampa. Tampa versus New York, okay? And this is what I have to understand. My buddy Kucherov. And I've said it before, all right? I said it at the beginning, and I've seen it. The team that wants to cycle in the playoffs, and you hear me on my Instagram stories, I apologize for beating a dead horse, but the NHL game is won today via the cycle. And I'll tell you why, all right? When they changed the rules, particularly the last couple of seasons, obstruction, hooking, holding, it doesn't exist now in the NHL, all right? 20 years ago, it existed. Whatever. Today, it doesn't exist. So that is the game that we have. The way that you win hockey games now is by getting the red line and chipping the puck in. One, because the puck always travels faster than a man skating with the puck, okay? So you chip the puck in, now you chase that puck, okay? You're chasing the puck against defensemen who are skating backwards. So automatically, you should be able to beat that D to the puck. Now you get into the offensive zone. You've gained possession. Mind you, you might have taken a hit, protected a hit with your body. You start the cycle. The reason the cycle kills today, it will kill any defensive trap, it will demolish anything, is because you're not allowed to hook and hold. And eventually, if you cycle enough, you will break down defensive zone coverage and you will get grade A scoring chances. Now, in the regular season, teams score off the rush. Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, they love to score off the rush. In the playoffs, the way that you win is by scoring off of the cycle. And the beautiful thing about it is that the cycle game is so much easier today than when I played. When I played, the cycle game meant that you were constantly being held and hooked and tripped and obstructed and interfered with. Now, it's this free-flowing diagram of water being unobstructed. And if you play it properly, you can move it and shape-shift at will. And eventually, you break down coverage and you get grade A scoring opportunities. That's how you win. Now, do I think that the Tampa Bay Lightning can come back? Game 4 is going to be tomorrow night, which is Tuesday, this is coming out on Wednesday. If they cycle like they did against the Rangers in Game 3, which, by the way, I believe they had 16 faceoffs in the offensive zone in the third period and 7 in the defensive zone. That means that they had more puck possession in the offensive zone than they did in the defensive zone. How do you do that? You chip and you chase. You chip, you chase, you cycle. And the more faceoffs you have in the offensive zone, better than the faceoffs you have in the defensive zone. I mean, it's simple math. It's like ABCs I'm talking here. Nikita Kucherov is my favorite player in the NHL. He can go from the most dynamic, dominating player in the NHL to easily the worst player in the NHL in a heartbeat. Like, it can happen sometimes on the same shift, I was so animated there, I hit my nose on the microphone, okay? What I need to understand is that when Cooch is on, he's still bad. It's just that he's so good, he's going to be involved in more offensive good chances than defensive bad chances that he's been a part of giving up. And I just have to learn to live with that. And obviously John Cooper has figured that out because he doesn't blow a gasket on the bench when Cooch has the worst first period, because Cooch, he can decide to have a great second and third and you win the game. That's a roller coaster for me. And I have a tough time dealing with it, but I'm starting to understand it a little bit more. I can't believe it's taken me 2 Stanley Cup runs to figure that out, but maybe because we've had some turmoil in this latest round and they're down 2-1. I'm starting to come around on the New York Ranger team. The team. There's things that I like. There's things that I don't like. Their goalie is the best goalie in the game. And I'll say Shesterkin, Igor, is a better goalie than Vasilevsky. I think he is. Now, it's tough to say that because Vasilevsky has 2 Stanley Cups and Igor hasn't won a fucking thing. Nada. Zip. Shit. Fuck all. All right? So take that with a grain of salt. But I'm excited for the rest of the series. Evander Kane's hit on Kadri, 1-game suspension. I thought he'd get 2. It was a dirty hit. Don't hit numbers. Kids, don't hit 5 feet, 4 feet from the boards. You don't hit a guy in the numbers. You just don't do it. I'm excited for the rest of the games. I think this Edmonton series is over, but, who knows? Who knows? 6-on-5 play. I want to tell you one last thing. Oh, by the way, Gretzky has been great on TNT. He's really actually, Gretz shows up in the playoffs, and he's talking hockey. I can tell he doesn't like to talk about all the other nonsense, the hoopla. When he talks hockey, he's great. All right? So that's been exciting to watch. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. Episode 11 brought to you by our friends at spreads.ca. Book your cameos, Venmo, birthday shoutouts, donations, whatever you think you've consumed. Be a good person, all right? Give back to the cause so we can keep doing this. Episode 11, No Gruffs Given. I'll see you next week.